Unless you've been encased in ice, Captain America style, you might have noticed that superheroes are kind of a big deal right now. And since we're currently experiencing a golden age of cinematic superheroism, we thought it was the right time to round up 10 of the most muscular, meta-human experiences. Gather your cap memes, unleash your barely suppressed anger, and join us as we look at the top 10 superhero games on PC. Yep, we're doing it. We're putting multiple games in one entry and you're going to have to live with it. It's clearly what The Dark Knight both needs and deserves. Truthfully, it all comes down to the fact that Batman Arkham Asylum, Arkham City and Arkham Knight are 3 of the best superhero games ever made. Period. Plus, everyone has their favourite, so picking just one would be like Killer Croc trying to use chopsticks, i.e. impossible. Whether it's the glorious linearity of Arkham Asylum that floats your Batboat with its perfect cacophony of villainy, the sprawling open-world potential of Arkham City that fills your heart with brooding joy, or even the explosive Batmobile of Arkham Knight that makes all your cowl-wearing dreams come true, each game here is a dark joy to play. Somehow effortlessly building your skills as the world's greatest detective, but never making you feel weak, these journeys into the heart of Gotham are never anything less than true heroic wish fulfillment. Oh, and the combat is absolutely chef kiss. That is, if the chef doesn't have too many broken bones to actually move. If you think about it, TT Games' LEGO games have saved us from a multitude of terrifying movie adaptations. Like true heroes who don't necessarily have to wear capes, the UK studio has rescued us from the woes of pile of shame titles such as Fight Club, Avatar, and dare we even mention it, King Kong, the official game of the movie. But let's not dwell on pixelated sadness when there's LEGO Marvel Superheroes and its sequel to wax lyrical over. The world of Marvel fits perfectly into the stud-packed games where specific abilities means you can punch the world into pieces with adorably blocky Spider-Man and co. The campaign is great fun, but the open world New York is like exploring the beautiful bricky playground of your Marvel dreams. Even better is the fact that you can unlock and choose to play as over 180 heroes and villains, so there's always new powers to toy with and those pesky gold bricks to hunt down.
You Avenger guys are really great at making a mess.
It would probably be funnier if this entire entry was courtesy of one of the Guardians themselves. I am Groot. I am Groot. I am Groot. Oh, okay, fine. Telltale's Guardians of the Galaxy is exactly what you'd expect from the episodic narrative specialists, but also manages to break the mold just enough to be new and exciting. Sure, people remember your actions and there's the odd QuickTime event, but Telltale worked with Marvel to develop an all-new story for Star-Lord and company, and it's ideal for fans and newcomers alike. Our main playable hero is Star-Lord, but all the Guardians get a look in here as we quest across the self-referential and self-deprecating galaxy to keep another artefact of unspeakable power out of enemy hands. Where have we seen that before? Oh, and yes, of course, Nolan North is Groot.
I am Groot.
Why don't you relax, you big wooden baby?
There just aren't enough games where you can will Batman out of thin air like some kind of insta just add water Dark Knight. Maybe for the safety of game goons everywhere, it's for the best. Scribblenauts Unmasked is the perfect blend of complete chaos and the DC universe. If you've not caught up with Maxwell and his magical notepad before, Scribblenauts lets you write objects into existence. Need to get somewhere high? Just give yourself some wings. If you can think it, you can probably do it in Scribblenauts. And somehow DC fits perfectly with this imaginative puzzler. Not only can you add every iteration of Batman or Wonder Woman that you can imagine, you can write in modes of DC transport and tour the world. Whether you're beating up goons on the Green Lantern planet or exploring the sewers of Gotham, Scribblenauts Unmasked is like your own personal DC movie without any of the worry of a tire-hitting montage. What a relief. Most superhero games take themselves too seriously. There are worlds to save, villains to brutalise, capes to dramatically swoosh. Not so Saints Row 4, which abandons any pretensions of being a sensible open-world alternative to GTA 5 and instead decides to let you do whatever the flipping heck you want. It wants you to try and break it, gifting you the sort of reckless powers most other games only tease. Saints Row 4 is so openly, honestly, entirely ridiculous that you'd have to have a sense of humour bypass not to find something amusing here. No, it's not flawlessly constructed or narratively fulfilling, but it doesn't need to be. Instead, it's an unrepentant power fantasy that's as happy with you running up buildings and bouncing cars out of the way as it is you suplexing strangers. Yes, the whole thing is a great big joke, but thankfully, it's a good one. Many fighting games have tried it, most have failed, but Injustice 2's compelling cinematic story mode will rekindle warm, fuzzy feelings whenever you think back to your time together. It has no right to be this good. Every narrative stumbling block ends with a fight, so it should be predictable nonsense. but instead it's a deep, personable, cheerfully daft adventure that's a genuine treat for anyone that knows their green arrows from their red lanterns. It helps that it's a robust, enjoyable scrapper too, with a neat rewarding combo system and some absurdly OTT specials. Throw in a wonderfully Moorish gear grind, we won't sleep until we've got the right fishnets for Black Canary, and facial animations so good that real life Vizogs start to look a bit fake, and you can see why Injustice 2 deserves a spot on this list. If only the DC movies were this good.
Good, bad, I care little for humanity.
Almost in preparation for the upcoming Venom movie, it seems necessary to include one dark superhero game, yes, even darker than The Dark Knight, and Prototype fits the introspective bill. As the troubled Alex Mercer, you're the classic juiced up anti-hero, coming to terms with your new powers and the collateral damage your abilities cause. How troubled is Alex? Well, he weaponizes a deadly virus, kills his ex, and consumes human souls. Yes, that troubled. But despite the gloomy setting and iffy protagonist, Prototype is a solid superheroic power trip, letting you toy with enemies using a broad selection of meaty abilities. If you're playing on PC and you've ever coveted the likes of Sony's Infamous, this is as close as you'll come. In order to properly skewer something in satire, you often have to love it first. So while South Park, The Fractured But Whole might sound rather frivolous, the clue's right there in the name. It clearly adores the source material. Just as The Stick of Truth was a loving examination of high fantasy tropes, the second game reframes all that nonsense that we accept without question about superheroes. And again, it holds up brilliantly well as a smartly crafted, easily enjoyable RPG, with a depth that belies the simple, irreverent presentation. Plus, the clever class system lets you pick the type of superhero you want, which affects their abilities in battle. If you're tired of worthy Marvel movies, or if you love them so much you can enjoy them being lampooned without offence, consider diving into The Fractured Butthole.
Yeah, I saw that coming.
This one seems like a bit of a stretch, because when you think of superheroes, you think of wild 3D adventures, explosions, and collapsing buildings. Speedrunners, by contrast, features cartoon characters in ill-fitting spandex, charging around a maze as the screen slowly shrinks. So the superheroic link is slightly tenuous then, but Speedrunners is still essential. It's one of the best couch multiplayer games on Steam, largely because it's so simple. A game of skill, timing, reactions, and recall. You might not feel especially heroic as you stumble over boxes and flop into spikes, but the feeling of nailing the perfect swing or ducking the dreaded golden grappling hook is unmatched. Every single match becomes a self-contained comic book movie, complete with dangerous death traps and that one nemesis who always tries to trip you up when they're coming last. We see you. Finally, if you're looking to scratch that Justice League itch, you can always try DC Universe Online. It hasn't aged amazingly well, it made the leap to PC and next-gen consoles all the way back in 2013, but it still plugs the gap for the dearly departed City of Heroes, the superheroic MMO that flexed its muscles throughout the late noughties. It's also free to play now too, and with a bit of care you can avoid the microtransactions entirely. So if you're finishing up this list and immediately feel the need to get your comic book fix, DC Universe Online is waiting to be unleashed on Steam.
This is my past, but your future.
And we've reached the end of our origin story. Our final costume is complete, the villain is behind bars, and honestly, obviously, we've completely exhausted our supply of superhero analogies. Please uppercut that like button if you enjoyed this video, let us know what your favourite superhero games are, and subscribe to Logitech G for more shows just like this one.